So
Yeah, we should be on Spotify.
yeah, I think so now. I there was a bunch of different things I put all the podcasts on. So all right, we're live.
Nice.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Oh, I'm tired.
Yeah. Hey, you got to start the new year with energy.
Yeah, well, the night before last, I was up all night. I just couldn't sleep.
Oh, okay.
You're so excited about 2020?
That or the beds at my mother-in-law's house are terrible.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
You do any planning for 2020 goals, etc.?
Yeah, I did actually. So I do the 12-week year. So I did that planning before I left. And so my 3 goals for the 12-week year are as follows. Of course, I have to lean back so I can see. So 90% fill on sponsorships. Basically that I put Q2 on there. I'm going to sell as much as I can in Q1, but I'm starting out with some major gaps, and I just don't think I'm going to get 90% for Q1. So I'm going to sell as much as I can for Q1, and then try and make up for renewals on Q2.
So what's the target for Q1? Or you can't set a target for Q1?
I don't know if I can accurately set a target for Q1. I probably should put something out there just so that I feel like I have something to strive for, but I'm having a real hard time putting a number on it. I think
what is your current number?
It's pretty low because I had a couple of companies.
Right. So what is it?
I need to run that. I need to go in and fill that in and see. But it's
if you were to take a guess, like half, 50%?
It's probably closer to 20%.
Whoa, man, 20% to 90% is a huge jump.
I know. Well, all I'm going to be doing for the next month at least is selling. And I'm going to keep doing it until basically everything's full. And then I'm going to be selling into Q2. So and I have a bunch of companies I'm talking to that it sounds like they're making decisions at various periods throughout the month. So I have a feeling that by February, I should be at 50 or 60% at least. And then hopefully by the beginning of March, then I can get to that 90% number. And then in March, I'll be selling into Q2 and, be able to fill in the rest and just basically encourage people, look, you probably want to be renewing now because otherwise those spots are going to be gone because I'm trying to sell them. So, but yeah. And then the other 2 are documenting all the processes and getting the shows moved over to Podwrench. But I mostly have my developer working on Podwrench. So, yeah. Anyway, so if I can get those together, Podwrench will streamline a bunch of stuff for us, and we've already talked about this stuff, but those are the 3 big things. I have tactics for all this stuff too, because 12-week year tells you to do that. So right now I'm mostly documenting the sponsor outreach process. So where I find them, how I reach out to them, get all the automation together for that, so that on Monday I can just follow the process. And then just keep up on the follow-up is really the deal. But what I'm finding is that I haven't had anyone tell me I'm following up too much. I haven't had anyone like drop off because I'm reaching out to them too often or anything like that. So I'm just going to keep doing the follow-up the way I'm doing it until it quits working, basically. And that's kind of the big secret for the sales. And then as far as documenting stuff, I'm going to my goal is to document 3 processes every week. I'm going to make Michelle document 3 processes every week, and Ashley, who's our social media person, document 3 processes every week.
So you're documenting your sales process?
Yes. And that way I can hand some of that off to somebody else. If I find somebody that I feel like is competent, then I can train them. Okay, here's how I do this. If you need a refresher, here's where all the videos and walkthroughs are. And then and basically then I can start onboarding more sponsors more quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean that's the ball I'm chasing really. The others are more or less in service to this, just taking stuff off my plate so I can do more sales stuff.
That's good, man. As long as you focus on sales,
Yeah, that's the big thing.
everything else will take care of itself in the business.
Yeah, I listened to Ready, Fire, Aim this week.
Yeah.
And he talks about businesses my size, and he basically says, yeah, that's your job.
Yeah.
Your job is to do the
Sell.
sales. And once you get to $1 million in revenue, then you can look at, this is the next thing that you focus on. I'm like, oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do anything other than, like, basically what he talks about is, unless you perfect your sales process, everything else is bullshit in the business. Like, it doesn't even matter because you're just wasting so much time and energy having the sales process, that optimized selling process, or optimized selling system, as he calls it, OSS.
Yep.
That's the holy grail for $0 to $1 million.
Yep. And that's kind of the deal. I think part of me is thinking about conferences again this year, because that was somewhat effective for me last year. The sales cycle on some of those was longer because the companies were bigger, but so I had to get more people to buy in. But I'm not even looking at that right now because I can do a lot of the sales stuff at the level I'm at just from home.
Well,
the other thing,
yeah, go ahead.
The other thing that I'm thinking about doing is, I'm thinking about reaching out to some of the sponsors that I have. At this point, I'm just trying to sell what I've got. But if let's say I sell out JavaScript Jabber at some point, I'm thinking about getting the ball rolling on like a Node podcast or something, right? And just see if I can pre-sell it, and then if I can pre-sell enough of it, then I'll do the work of starting it up.
I think before you start any podcast, you should just be selling the hell out of everything you've got.
And that's basically the plan. But if I sell out all of JavaScript Jabber, or I can't, people don't want the second mid roll or something like that to the point where it's completely full, then I'll probably look at, okay, what else can I sell them? And then start looking at, okay, well, if I had a Node podcast, I could probably sell them that too, and then just go back to them and say, hey, look, do you want to be a charter sponsor on a Node podcast? We'll start it here in a month or two.
Yeah.
But I'm not even going to do that until I'm basically full up on a show.
Yeah, and then going back to the conference thing, like if you look at Ready, Fire, Aim, he was talking about one OSS, not 2 or 3 or 5 OSS, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And that one OSS is actually just you doing the work on email or cold calls or whatever it is. Really, that selling system, if you perfect
that's the plan right now.
You're going to perfect one selling system rather than 2 selling systems.
Yeah. Yeah, my 4-year-old had to come sit in here with me. I have a couple conferences I'm planning to go to. I usually wind up going to NGConf because it's here in Salt Lake. And I'm, some of the O'Reilly conferences I can probably get into and get booth space for free. But I've got a bunch of other ways that I can go and take advantage of organized developer get together kind of things that I can just do from here. And so if I do any of that, I'm probably going to start there just because the cost to entry is so low and I can probably get a lot of traction out of it. But that's more audience growth than it is sponsorship, unless I can go to the conference and do a bunch of interviews with folks, and that's kind of the way things have been working out with being on the KubeCon media list. But even then, that's slow. That's a slow roll too. So yeah, so I'm just gonna focus on doing what I'm doing from home, and then some opportunity comes and smacks me in the face, and I feel like I can and should take advantage of it, I will. But yeah, I haven't really made any solid plans for any of that. So
Good. Yeah, that one primary goal is really good.
Yep.
Optimizing it.
Yeah, but the tactics for that are find 15 new potential sponsors every week. Keep my task list in HubSpot empty, which is basically keeping up on the follow-up, because I just put them into a sequence and then just do what the sequence says. I've got to clear out my current task list, but I don't want to. I've got a bunch of stuff in there for people, and so I may either go and just remove all the people from the set task lists I have, and then just drop them in and just start them over, or depending on where my relationship is with them, I may go after them in a different way because I've already been corresponding with them. But I'm figuring all that out today, and then just make sure that all my automation and documentation are on point. And then the last thing is, this is what Michelle's working on, is just finding hosts for the different shows so that I can stop showing up to all of them and, only be on a handful of them, because that's another hour or so that I can spend prospecting or following up or whatever. So, so that's kind of the deal. And that's my primary focus here. I'll spend a little time on documentation. I'll spend a little time on the other stuff that makes the business keep running, keep the podcast releasing. But yeah, kind of all in on this. So
Yeah, no, that's the way to go for sure. Like just got to go through the grind, and we lost Manny there. But I would say that she's got your hat. That's funny.
She's got the "Make America Great Again" hat on.
Uh-oh.
Hey kid, don't let people get a picture of you with that on.
That'll be it.
All right,
social life is ruined now.
Yeah, her life's ruined.
Yep.
My wife's sleeping, and I didn't want her to bug my wife. So anyway, but yeah, so that's really all I have to report, is just that I'm a little more organized on this stuff and a little more relaxed. I haven't had a chance to do the audiobook because I still have a little bit of a scratchy throat, and I want a solid recording.
Yeah.
So that'll probably just wind up being a Saturday project or something where I get a bunch of that done. And I've figured out that recording an audiobook is completely different from recording a podcast.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's going to be a bit more work than I thought. So
I told you.
I know. I kind of expected the "I told you so."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping to get it done here within the next couple of weeks. But
the biggest thing with the audiobook is that you just need to read it through and just don't stop the recording. Just back up if you mess up, because you'll mess up plenty of times, and then just retake the sentence. You can just say something like edit or cut or anything like that, and then, or you can just retake the sentence straight up, and then you just need to have the editor look for those cues and
I've been working with my editor, and it sounds fine until either the heat in my house turns on and starts blowing.
Yeah,
the microphone picked that up a little bit, and I was trying to just run too fast with it, so I need to just slow down and read it. Was the other thing I figured out. And then if I clap my hands near the microphone, then it causes peaks that he can go and there's a mistake here. Oh, there's a mistake there.
Yeah.
Are you already selling the book?
What?
Are you already selling the book?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You can get a paperback or a Kindle version.
How's it selling?
It sold a bunch the first week or two, and then sales kind of slowed down after the first week in December.
But still, how's it selling?
What do you mean? How is it selling?
How many copies?
Let me see. Not extraordinarily well at this point, to be honest.
How much is it?
$2.99.
No. How many copies have you sold? Or how many copies are you selling right now per week?
Is there a way to look at this per weekly? So in November, I sold 194 copies.
Mm-hmm.
And had 198 pages sold or pages read. That's funny.
That's for the Kindle, like
Kindle Unlimited, yeah.
yeah.
Kindle edition normalized pages, whatever they call it. This one's not showing me for December yet, but December just ended.
So I guess a simpler question then is it worth doing all this work for the book?
Last month, I sold 52 copies and had 918 pages read. So a lot
Is it
more
worth
people
doing any work for this book at this point?
I have a lot of people asking me for the audio version, and that kind of makes sense because my audience is primarily audio anyway. So I believe it is.
I mean, if you sold 50 copies here, like maybe John is the better person to address this question. I'm just thinking, like, compared to you focusing on your selling system, everything else feels like it's just a easy way to distract yourself.
Maybe, but I told people that I was going to put it out in January, and I feel like I need to stick to that. It may cost me a few days, but yeah.
After doing all the work, I would probably put out the audio version just because it'll probably sell about 3 times as well as the print. And
Yeah, that's what I figure.
It's an ongoing revenue type of thing that will continue without any additional work. So, but and it's a decent promotion for your
Dev Chat.
Yeah, so I would do that, but I wouldn't spend any other time with the
I wasn't planning on it. I was planning on getting it recorded, making sure that an email went out to the mailing list and that it gets mentioned on the podcast, but that was it.
Yeah, you can mention it a bunch on the podcast. You can mention it any episode you want.
Yeah, because that really doesn't cost me anything if I have the space open. So
yeah, not even a sponsorship spot. It's just you plugging your.
Well, I can put it on a sponsorship spot if I have remnant space, but if I don't, then
yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of what we're looking at.
Looks like I had a pretty good stick rate of people for Bulldog Mindset membership from the trials because it's now rolled over. I have 387 total members now. At the most, I was at like 420. So that's pretty good. I would say like my monthly recurring is just shy of 11 grand, like 10,700 now. And that's basically all the trials have churned out from the Black Friday that are going to churn out. So yeah, so I think that's a pretty solid baseline now is to be at about that range. So it looks good. Like I think that I would say that it was successful doing the $7 trial. I added what's it, 100.
There's a ton of noise coming through, Manny.
Sorry, I need to mute myself.
Yeah, I had 189 new members in December.
Wow.
And about 44 of them churned off and then 26 so far turned off in January. So yeah, so not bad. Yeah.
40 plus 26. So 66 out of 190.
Yeah, that's about the rough estimate there. Like it's a little bit hard to know because some of them bought yearly, but I tried to filter out most of those. So
Well, they haven't churned out. So 1/3 basically have churned out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the $7 trial is getting you a lot of takers, but also a lot of freeloaders. But that's good. Like you're still getting 100 plus new members every month.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I would expect that though. You know, at a lower price, you're gonna have a higher churn.
Yeah,
Different class of buyer.
exactly. And some of them were like, I mean, there's some monthly that are not on the $7 trial in there. I don't have it exactly. I mean, I guess I can look at the trial. Hold on, let me see if this will filter. 3-month free trial, apply. Oh, okay. I can kind of see, or I don't know, this data. Oh, no, hold on. That's the wrong one. I think I can just filter it by the offer. Where is it? $7. Okay. I'll try this one. Okay. When I filter it by this, then I'm showing in November, I added 39 members on the $7 free trial. In December, I added 115. In January, 1. And then of the people of the trial, in December, 20 of them churned. In January, 24 churned. So 44 churns out of, what is it?
January 24 churned, and even though it's day one.
Yeah, because that's when the first billing came through, right? Because almost all of these were from Black Friday promotion.
Oh.
And when they churn, so are they like actively canceling, or is it because their credit card's expiring, or what?
It's mostly canceling. Like it could be some
Yeah.
credit card expirations, but essentially, yeah. So 39 plus 115. Whoops. So and then 154. So 154 and then 44 turned off. So yeah, so about a third, a little bit less than the third of people that go on the trial. So that's pretty good. That's definitely within, it makes it worth doing the $7 trial. What I'll have to do is track these guys over time though, and see what happens with them to see how long their average revenue is.
Yeah, you still got to see if in month 2 when they start paying $30, they still see the same value.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because right now the average revenue per user for that class of users is $6.92. So I don't know how it's less than $7, but
Because of credit card payments?
well, they shouldn't have gotten even any access if they didn't pay at least $7.
Yeah.
So
No. Minus the credit card payment, minus the credit card processing fee.
Oh, that's possible.
Oh, you're right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, if your system takes that into account.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out, though.
Yep.
I wish I had better reporting so I could see like exactly how what like different categories, what their churn rates are and stuff automatically, but
Yep. Makes sense. What are you running it through? Is it all in Kajabi or something?
yeah, it's all in Kajabi.
what new promotions are you running for Simple Programmer this month?
This month, that's a good question. Let me see what it is. It's like I gotta check to make sure exactly what it is, but okay, affiliate promotions.
So you're moving personal development stuff to Bulldog Mindset, personal development promotions to Bulldog?
No,
Is that what you-
no, not necessarily. Like I'm not really doing promotions on Bulldog Mindset hardly. Interview Cake and Triple Bite should be for January. So
Oh, yeah.
I need to check with Fritz to make sure that he.
What's Triple Bite? Is that an affiliate or is that a?
Yeah, it's like I mean, I'm not doing anything specifically with them. I just have an affiliate link for them because they had
Okay.
reached out to me. But it's a it's basically.
I know who they are. They sponsored my shows.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. It's kind of a long tail, because they pay you like basically a few $1,000s per every person who gets a job. So I haven't even promoted them yet. I just have them on the resource page, and I've had 27 candidates sign up so far. But it'll take like 3 to 6 months before if they get a job from there. And then so that I'm going to test that out. But I think it could be worth it because if I promote that to the list and I get, let's say, I don't know, out of the whole list, maybe let's say 10 people get jobs from there, then you're talking like maybe $15,000 to $30,000 of revenue from that one promotion. So
yeah, hired.com used to do that same kind of a deal.
Yeah.
And they were a sponsor too. I never actually tried to take advantage of their affiliate program, and I'm wondering if I probably would have gotten a better. Well, if I would have gotten more money by running it that way, because I know that like hired.com, they sponsored for a long, long time, and I think they were making a ton of money off of the sponsorship. So
I'm sure. Yeah.
I've thought about actually just running the affiliate as a podcast ad and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting choice between those two, right? Because it's like it really is a matter of who takes the risk. And so if they sponsor your podcast, then essentially
I'm taking the risk.
No, they're taking the risk if they sponsor it.
Oh, right.
Right. Because you're getting a guaranteed payment, but your upside is limited because you're only going to get the payment. But if it turns out that it's not profitable for them, you're still getting paid the full amount that you agree to. Whereas if you do an affiliate promotion, essentially as a sponsorship slot, if you get paid that way,
I take the risk that I won't get paid, but there's no limit on the upside.
Exactly. Yeah. So in general, I mean, if you had successful promotions, it's better to take the affiliate payment because you have the unbounded upside. But in general, also, most people who advertise unsuccessfully and it's not profitable. So
I've also been thinking, because I get asked by a lot of folks, essentially, well, do you have any numbers from sponsorships? And my answer is usually no, because most of my sponsors, they don't share the numbers, but most affiliate programs do. And so part of me is tempted to put some affiliates into the sponsorship cycle and then just basically experiment with them until I figure out how to make them work.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because you might not be able to make them work, right? It's like, I mean, something like Triple Bite seems like that's probably because they're paying such a high commission on it.
But the flip side of that too, though, is that if I could make a Triple Bite or somebody work that way, I mean, there's no reason for me not to keep running them. But the other thing is I can also then essentially say, look, we ran it for Triple Bite and here's what happened.
Yeah.
And so I can use them as a case study too. So there's some upside there. But yeah, I don't know if it's specific products that would work or if it's something else. But a lot of these folks have affiliate programs that I can at least go play with.
That's true. I mean, you could also fill your excess inventory
Yeah.
for now with those. There's no reason not to.
Yep.
Yep. And I can just play with the messaging because that doesn't take a ton of time.
Yeah.
You should actually fill out all your excess inventory with affiliate.
I should.
Until you figure out the next thing to do.
Yeah, I should. And then I can let potential sponsors know, no, I have that spot open. It's just I've been putting affiliate stuff in it.
Yeah. Well, and
How
maybe
would
it
they
does
know?
better.
You can always say it's available, and then you can
Yeah,
let
most
them
of the
know.
time they won't even ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I tell them it's open, they'll be like, oh, okay.
I
Mhm.
mean, that makes a lot of sense actually for you to do, because you might even find that some of the affiliate promotions are better than, like, if
Yeah.
you find a good one that you don't get rid of, that you're just like, okay, I'm basically making so much money from this affiliate promotion that I'll just keep doing that. And then
Yeah.
it's like a permanent sponsorship. That's the other thing about affiliate versus sponsorship, I suppose, right? Besides the dynamics of who takes on the risk,
Yeah.
is that if you do an affiliate promotion that's successful, you
I can keep
never have
running
to.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah. I think I may just go do that. I'll just I'll have to put together or have Michelle put together a process for that. But I think that's worth considering.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah, then we can just kind of back into it as much as it makes sense to.
Yeah, I've got to try to catch up on all this stuff now. I've been so
So
behind.
if you broke this down into measurables, so I think what you have right now is a lag metric, which is 90% fill rate.
Yeah.
But what is the lead metric for that? Because I was like, I
The
go
lead
back.
metric is the number of people I contact and the number of follow-ups I do.
So I think that is way better of a metric for you to track as
Yeah.
a way to like really feel progress. Because if you know how many people you contacted last month in December, or if you look at last quarter,
Yeah.
if you look at Q4 and you contacted 100 people, you sent 600 emails, and the result is a 20% fill rate, well, you know exactly what you need to do this time around. You need to go to 200 people. You need to send 1,200 emails or something like that, or increase the depth of your email funnel, and you will have the numbers that you need to hit the goal. Because otherwise you're just floundering in the dark. You have a goal, a hazy goal of a 90% fill rate, but you really don't know what will get you there.
Yeah, that's where the tactics come in on 12-week year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 15 new sponsors every week. I honestly don't know if I can keep up with the load if I add too many more than that. If I hit 20, I can probably do it. But if I go much further than that, and that's way more than I was doing last month or at any point in the last quarter. And then just doing the follow-up, honestly, that level of follow-up, it's significantly more than
Why
I was
is it
doing.
not automated follow-up?
Well, so the email follow-up is automated.
Mm-hmm.
HubSpot doesn't have a way to do automated follow-up on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn.
How much do you convert on email compared to Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn?
It depends.
Facebook.
How much do you convert? So Facebook, it's funny because they're all different. Here I am giving away my secrets. So LinkedIn is fairly effective. It's amazing to me how many people are actually active on LinkedIn. And so I probably have as many people that I reach out to on LinkedIn reply to me as email. Twitter, if I send them a direct message, it's slightly less than LinkedIn, not a ton less, but it's not quite as effective. Facebook, the tactic on Facebook is you go onto their page and you hope that they have a Facebook bot or a way to send a message to them come up that they're checking on a regular basis. And Facebook tells you they usually reply immediately. And so if I get on there and I tell them I'm looking for sponsors, a lot of times they'll put me directly in touch with their marketing person. And then I essentially go and close through the other channels. So that's more or less how those work. But there's not a good way to automate all that stuff. So I have to go do it by hand.
That sucks.
But the flip side is that if I'm going to do it by hand, I spend an extra minute doing a little bit of homework. So once I have somebody's name or something like that, I'll go look them up online and see if I can find something that I can kind of tailor the messaging to a little bit so that it's not just, hi, I'm another faceless place for you to spend money.
Right.
So I tell them a little bit about us. I see if there's a way to align that
So
with
if you,
what they're trying to do.
If there was a pie chart, email close, LinkedIn close, Facebook close, Twitter close. I know you don't have the perfect numbers because it's multi-channel, but if you still had a pie chart and someone put a gun to your head and say, okay, give me the distribution. What's the percentage revenue coming from each of these sources?
It's probably like 30, 25. Email, LinkedIn, Twitter.
That sucks.
It really just depends on where they're active. And a lot of folks just, if an email doesn't look interesting, they won't open it. I mean, if I send them like a bomb video, that's pretty effective. But usually they have to have heard or seen my name somewhere else. And so by hitting them everywhere else that exists and then sending them a bomb video.
The question, like, this is a very interesting or this is a very difficult part of the question, which is it more effective in the overall optimum selling system to master and get really good at closing through LinkedIn or email than trying to close through all the 4 channels? Because I have seen again and again with people who kind of catch fire is one medium that's like standing like, and that's kind of in line with the OSS strategy, like optimum sales strategy, which is like just going after that one, if it's LinkedIn and email, and just fucking becoming such a rabid bulldog at that everything else doesn't matter. So you just dominate it.
Yeah. The problem is that people are all over the place on the web.
Doesn't matter. It's about
here's the deal.
Your effectiveness.
Yeah. So what my basic tactic is that I add them to a follow-up sequence, and the follow-up sequence is send them this email, and then tomorrow it's send them an invitation to connect on LinkedIn, and then the next one is send them a DM on Twitter, and then the next one is go and send them a message on Facebook, and then the next, and so basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to find where they're active, and then I more or less interact with them the same way, because a message on LinkedIn really isn't that different from an email, really isn't that different from a DM on Twitter. And so if they're being active there, then I put them in a sequence. Okay, go follow up with them on Twitter, go follow up with them, or, send them these emails and see if we can get something lined up. And so that's kind of the way that I approach it. And so the approach after I figure out where they're paying attention to is more or less the same. The difference is that, the email is the only one I can reliably automate. But the flip side is that, I can go into Twitter and I can send them a DM, no problem.
Well, if you are, okay, so I think this is a very interesting thing we're trying to do here, because if you are very clear that you want to hit 90% sponsorship close, and if that, like, if you know exactly, okay, if 90% sponsorship rate, then that means I need 40 sponsors. That means I need to approach 1,000 sponsors by email and close them over either email or LinkedIn.
Oh,
That
I see what you're saying.
simplifies your life so much more than
Yeah.
this so many different strategies, and you don't know which one is working and which number or which metric really matters, and which confuses the fuck out of you, because now you're constantly just like doing so many different things. But if you could
Yeah,
just
but it's
say,
basically one strategy. The only difference is the medium I reach out through. I see what you're saying, and I definitely agree, though, that if I could
Yeah.
do it all through email, right? If I could go do just email, and I could do,
it's like this. You could tell me that I'm just doing videos, so I'll get a lot of traction if I put my videos on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on Instagram and all of that. You're right about that. But the amount of mental bandwidth I have to spend on figuring all of those out and constantly fine-tuning them and doing all
no,
that
I
shit,
agree.
it's just not worth compared to just going for YouTube, going whole hog on YouTube, and just like fucking like
Yeah. No, I
using that
agree.
as the way all the way. And that's like the big challenge, I guess, in our marketing field. Like, we feel that all of these channels have effectiveness, and that makes us multi-channel. But
See, the thing is that for the most part, the approach is the same. I mean, the difference is that, instead of opening my email client, I may go open up LinkedIn and see what's going on, or I may go open up.
no,
Twitter.
I don't agree with that part. I think if all you'd said was, I will just fucking do LinkedIn and email, you would have such good like systems and processes for just dominating email. If you just like said, I will just close them on email no matter what, you would have just such good bomb videos and process and video after video where you literally can send them like testimonial videos. You could sell them. You would have so much more if you just had one thing dialed down that worked perfectly compared to the multi-channel approach where you're good at all of them, but you haven't figured out the conversion on any of them yet.
Yeah.
But if you told me your email conversion right now on every 100 sponsors you approach is 5%, well, that's all we need to know. I think you won the game, because now there's only two things you can do. You can either increase your conversions or increase the number of people coming into the funnel.
That makes sense.
And forget about everything else.
Yeah, because if I have a 5% conversion on email,
yeah,
and I need 50 sponsors, then I go do 1,000 outreaches.
Exactly. And now you create all the systems for that email. Like, you literally create systems for how to find these people, how to find their email addresses, how to reach out to them, and how to send 25 emails to them, and how one of them is a bomb video, and one of them is a YouTube video where you talk about the possibilities of sponsorships, and one of them is a podcast episode that you send to them. You can do so much if you just dedicate yourself to improving the conversions on that channel,
right,
rather than improving the conversions on every channel, or just going after all the channels simultaneously, because then you don't know your conversion percentages and you're going to drive yourself silly trying to do everything.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
John's been awfully quiet.
No, I see what you're saying. It's making me think.
No, I mean, I agree. It makes sense to have one channel that you have reliable channel that you optimize the processes, and eventually you could add some other channels, but first you need to get the best out of it. Like, optimizing one channel will be more effective than using multiple channels. Right.
I agree.
Now,
the other
and then you have a pipeline you can measure, right? So
well, the other thing is that I mean, the initial outreach could also just drive people to the email, right? So, because once I have their email, that's a different story too. So, you know, I can do the send them an email, and then I can do the bump them on LinkedIn, and then I can do the bump them on Twitter, but then I go back to email, right? And that's it.
Exactly.
So then it's just to get their attention enough to get them to open my email.
You can do all of the above, but you'd be surprised how effective just one channel by itself could be if you spent all of your, like, the shiny object is not.
No, I know.
It's underrated.
What I'm saying is I would use the other channels to optimize email, because I find that people, no, listen. What I found is that a lot of people, they see your name pop up on Twitter, and then they see it pop up on LinkedIn, and they see it pop up on Facebook, and then they see another email come through, and they go, oh, this guy. And then they open it.
See, yeah,
so
that's
that's
right.
that's the so it's an email focused strategy, and I only do those steps once, right? I'm not trying to optimize anything out of LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. What I'm doing is I am actually just setting things up so that, you know, I may not convert on the first email, but I will on the second.
Right.
Okay.
It needs to be, I mean, it doesn't matter what necessarily the system is, as long as there's a system in place where it's not just randomly throwing out, you know.
Well, as long as it's a system that's like focused, it's a simple system.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the more complicated it gets, the more you don't know where the results will come from.
Exactly.
Right. But if you, that's why I'm still like going back to the whole, like either an email strategy or a LinkedIn strategy, because dude, people kill it on LinkedIn, like literally just LinkedIn strategy by itself.
Yeah.
People dominate the fuck out of it, especially in your domain, like finding sponsorships and sales and all that stuff. So LinkedIn sales is like legit, right, for this stuff. But either ways, if you can tell me right now, okay, so let me ask you, when you send an email, or when you send 100 sponsors emails, how many do you think will usually convert?
100 out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a handful.
No.
Probably 5 or 6.
That's it. 5%.
Yep.
How many sponsors do you need?
That 40 or 50 number is probably about right. I need to actually go do the math.
I know all the numbers even without knowing the numbers. Okay, so 40 or 50, right? So all you needed to do was find 1,000 possible people to send these emails to, and optimize the hell out of this email sequence to get 5%, 6%, 7%, 8% conversion. We're already looking at 50 sponsors, 60%, 60
Right.
sponsors, 70 sponsors.
So what you're telling me is that my goal, or my outreach goal, should be to reach out to or continue to follow up with 1,000 sponsors.
If that sounds a reasonable metric to use, I'm not asking if that's a reasonable metric.
That's a ton of work.
Yeah, I'm not. So there are two different things here. One is to define how much work needs to be done, and the other thing is to define how much you can do. But as soon as you're clear in how much needs to be done, your life is so much simpler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you have the results. Now you're defined what needs to be done. Now you can ask yourself, will I do it? Will someone else do it? Or is this an unrealistic goal? Like those 3 steps are crucial. Otherwise it's just a generic goal and it frustrates us.
Yep.
So if approaching 1,000 people is your work, and you have an email automation system that sends literally 30 emails, man, I'm not kidding, 30 emails, freaking go gung-ho on that shit. Like in one email, you let them connect on Twitter. On one email, you let them connect on LinkedIn or whatever it is. When one email, you send them a podcast episode or something. You have a 30 email sequence, and you have someone go and find those 1,000 possible names. I think you have an optimum selling system.
Right.
Finding those people should not be your work. That's something you can pay someone in Philippines to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So give them the criteria. This is the kind of position. This is the kind of business. This is the size of that business. And LinkedIn gives you all of that data. Give them a professional LinkedIn account. Ask them to go do that search for you. Ask them to create a populated spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet kind of translates to the email hunter, that hunter.io that gives their email addresses. Plug them into your email sequence and freaking just like you just like do that and nothing else.
Yep.
Everything else is a distraction at that point. The audiobook is a distraction. Everything is a distraction. You just go, boom, I need 1,000 people to send 30 emails to. Like that's your stated goal for the quarter. I think that's so much more clearer than 90% fill rate.
Yeah, the 90% fill rate was an aspirational goal.
which is fine. Like that's an outcome that you want. And that's still like, I think there's levels of goal. The outcome is one, but the method,
Yeah.
the process is way more important than just the
Yeah.
outcome
It's
goal,
a strategic goal. I'm going to
Yeah.
reach 1,000.
Yeah. So the outcome is important. You need to know the outcome that you want, which is 90%. But now once you go into the mechanics of it and you have the measurables, now you really have a chance to make it. Because if you know the measurables, like 1,000 people, that's all I need. All I need is 1,000 email addresses of possible sponsors, and we win the day. Damn, man, life is simple. Then you stop the mad. The thing is, right now you have so much complexity of this channel and that channel, and I'm trying this and I'm trying that. But if just emails were doing all that work for you, and there was only one call to action, which was set up a call. You're like, here's my calendar to set up a 30-minute call to understand exactly what you'll get in this sponsorship.
Yeah.
And every call to action, either connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter, or set up a call with me, 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 and you phone close them. It's going to work.
Yeah.
I think it's going to work more than multi-channel strategy, which is really going to run you ragged.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm kind of digging it. Of course, this is going to be the rest of my day today then. But it's on the 12-week year anyway, which starts on Monday. But it was to get this stuff nailed down today before the 12-week year starts. So that's fine. But yeah, I need to just go and nail it down. And I kind of like the idea too, where it's, hey, here's a YouTube video that I put out. Here's a LinkedIn article that I have that I posted last month or whatever. Yeah. And just kind of, just hit them with all of that stuff. Yeah.
Hit them on all the channels, but still the call to action is still a call where you can close them.
Yep.
Every time, here's my calendar link, schedule a link. Here's a calendar link, schedule a call. And once they schedule the call, they're out of your email funnel.
Yep.
And now they're on the call. So now you will have conversion points across the board. Now your funnel will actually give you real numbers.
Right. It'll tell me where they're converting and what's working. And then I can rearrange it so that
now you have 25% open rate on the first email or second email or third email. And now you know how many people, when you send 100 emails, how many of them actually end up signing for that call. Right? You have all of that data, and that will simplify the hell out of your life, man.
Yep. Makes sense.
And then here's what you would do once you know, okay, I have to approach 1,000 people. Well, now you can start creating weekly goals for yourself. Okay, well, this week I should write this many emails and get this many contacts reached out to see the effectiveness of this campaign. And you can A/B test your email campaigns. You can do so much, man, if you just go whole hog on optimizing that damn email campaign. But if you try to optimize your email campaign and your LinkedIn campaign and your Twitter campaign and your Facebook campaign, it's just impossible.
No,
not at this stage. That's like this. That's after OSS. That's the second stage. This stage, you just optimize email campaigns. Like we've been, like everyone we know in our space, like people who are legit business, they're killing it on email. Even today with all that, all the trash we talk about email marketing is really the business. Like the biggest people like Marie Forleo and Digital Marketer, all these guys, the biggest money is still made on email.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you just optimize the hell out of it and forget about everything else.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I need to just knuckle down and just get one killer sequence in there.
Yeah, and that'll take a lot of testing. That'll take a lot of doing and redoing and testing and optimizing and figuring out what works, why people open, why people are not opening, why people are clicking, and then ultimately getting them to convert on the call. If that's the goal, for every 100 people you send emails to within 2 weeks, you should have 20% of them on a phone call. Like that, once you know this is the playground you're working with, you can have so many metrics inside of it. I don't even know the metrics right now, but as soon as you start playing in it, you will come up with more metrics that you and I can imagine.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
More optimization points, more system optimization points that you have forgotten, that you haven't really looked into because you have so many different things going on.
Yeah.
And once you have this system, you're out of this. All you do is take phone calls.
Yeah.
Literally. Everything else is out of your hands. You literally take what? 20 phone calls a month or 20 hours of phone calls? I don't know. How long are your calls usually?
15 to 20 or 15 to 30 minutes.
So let's say
They go
30 minutes.
fast.
Let's say 30 minutes. And
Yeah.
if you could field 40 calls a month, that would just blow up the business, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
So
I don't get anywhere close to that right now. So yes.
What do you get right now?
I probably get a couple calls a week.
Okay, so you're getting 10 calls a month right now.
Yeah, maybe.
So if your objective right now was to double that, to go from 10 to 20 this month, you would figure out a way to double that damn thing,
Yes, pretty much.
right? But if you just focused on email, I would say, but if you tried all the different strategies, then it wouldn't work as effectively.
Yeah.
Or if you just focused on LinkedIn, I still think LinkedIn would kill it as well because it's just so
People are
professional.
really into it right now.
Yeah, so it works. Both of them would work, but I would still bet my horses on one and just go after that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, and if I optimize email, then I can, like you guys were saying, then I can focus. I can have a look at LinkedIn.
And once you know how to turn the knob,
Yeah.
well, if you can go from 10 to 20, well, hell, why not 30 and why not
Yeah,
40?
exactly.
Now you just need the front end person to go fill that for you by just doing
Yep.
like
Pump as much into this as possible.
it's so good. Like once this
Yeah.
email sequence works, you just go hire someone to freaking find
Yeah.
10,000 email addresses for you, and
Yeah.
your life is completely different.
Of course, in Ready, Fire, Aim, he does warn you that eventually that strategy won't work.
But till $1 million.
Yeah. But until it doesn't work, I mean, yeah, keep chasing it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the problem is you will probably not it will not work because you won't have slots to fill.
Well, then I create more slots to fill. That's
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
problem's easy to solve.
So if you were architecting, right now you have to think of yourself as the architect of the funnel that
Right.
gets people to call.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about finding those people because once you define the criteria, a $5 per hour guy can find that for you.
Right.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So that job is easy. You can hire tomorrow for that role, and within a week you will have 1,000 email addresses.
Well, that'd be
That-
nice.
Maybe 2 weeks. I don't think it's going to take more than that. Once you have the criteria defined,
Really.
that person is going to go and find that person. Why do you think it's going to take more time?
I guess it wouldn't if they're on it more or less full time,
Yeah.
because I could do it in that amount of time. But
If they're spending 40 hours a week, they've spent 100 hours over the next 2 weeks. You don't think they could find 1,000 people to reach out
yeah,
to?
if they're doing 40 hours a week,
Yeah, I had a guy that one of the guys that I'm an advisor on his company. When I was working with him, he was trying to, in the initial phases of the startup, right? Basically the service is selling health related like plans to companies, and he had someone that was giving him 300 email addresses a day. And he
wow.
was contacting 300 people a day. That was his pipeline. Every single day he did this.
That's
So-
crazy.
That just shows you how many businesses there are out there, right? Potential customers, right? It's an insanely larger, much larger
And
world.
every one of them has an
Yeah.
email address, even if they don't have a Twitter or a Facebook.
That's
every
true.
Yeah.
one of them has an email address. Even
Yeah.
if they're not on LinkedIn, they have a fucking email address.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you could get someone to give you 1,000 email addresses, your job is simple. Just make that funnel work. And once you make the funnel work, it gets even better. Once you get 20% conversion on that incoming phone call, you teach someone else to take those phone calls,
Right.
right? So I think Chuck is frozen in time now because
Oh.
it was just like,
Mind blown.
you can't think about anything else anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his mind is blown. Yeah, it is amazing how much clarity you get from simplifying things and systemizing and getting clarity on what exactly is a lead metric versus a lag metric, and focusing effort on the lead, not the lag.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
The lag is what keeps people in the doldrums.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless you know how you can hit the lag consistently, you just need to focus on the lead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Once he gets it down to a funnel where he knows exactly how many people need to come in order to get a result, then it's just a matter of just filling it up. That's
Then
it.
he has a business.
Yeah.
Right now, it's very helter-skelter to call it a business, a legit business that works every single time.
Yeah.
Right? Once you have a system and a funnel that literally, if I put 1,000 people on top, 50 sponsorships come out at the bottom consistently, you're golden. You can
Yep.
sell that damn business now very quickly.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
It's really mind blown. He's still frozen in time there, just sitting there, just like we left him.
All right. Well, I guess maybe we should just wrap it up here then. If Chuck's probably not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thoughts for the week?
Sure. For the year, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I've actually been, one of the things I've been doing, I guess I didn't get to talk much today, but let me kind of give you a rundown. That I do, like, I've been looking at the goal setting process in detail, or overall goal achievement process, not so much the goal setting process. I've been like looking at all the productivity books I've read over the years, all the systems books and execution books and everything. And I was taking all of that knowledge to put together something that actually makes sense for me to implement as my goal achievement process. So there's a lot of things out there for goal setting, but goal achievement is a different game altogether. And that's real. That's the real
out,
work.
guys. Flaked out, sorry.
Oh, no worry.
And I have a sponsor call in like 5 minutes, so I've got to get off anyway.
Yeah, we're just doing the wrap up. So
yeah.
Yeah. So I think the thing I was getting to was that it's easy. Like the goal setting process is not really the thing. We're talking thoughts, and I'm talking about what I was working on over the last week, which was basically the goal setting and goal accomplishment process, more importantly. And in my overall analysis, and I ended up creating a program as a result of it, what I found was that the more you can break down everything into very measurable and achievable targets and data and results like that you can see very easily, the more you are going to win every time. And that's going to create results compared to goals that are hazy, which are very difficult. So it's okay to have objectives that are like outcome-based objectives, but you got to still break them down into measurable inputs.
Yeah.
And that's the key to winning in the goal setting, goal achievement game.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree 100%. Because otherwise it's just a waste of time. Like you're just wishing that these things will happen unless you have a specific way that you're going to be able to achieve them.
Yeah. And the key there is like, okay, maybe you have a goal for the whole year and you still don't know exactly what you will do. Well, break it down. Okay, what can you do in the quarter? Okay, can you make a measurable thing in the quarter? No. Okay, how about a month? Can you make it measurable in a month? Okay, let's do that. And let's worry about the outcome-based goals later. Or what can you do in the week that will be measurable that you will account for towards the accomplishment of the goal? Because if you can't make it measurable and input-based, you're not going to find a way to hit that target.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, I guess mine would be for every piece of data that you take into your self, you should know why you're getting that data, and it should have a purpose. Otherwise, it's a waste, right? Because I've talked about this before, but like analytics and reporting and even emails and comments and messages, all that stuff, it's all data. And so what is the purpose? Why are you consuming this data? What are you going to do with this data? And a lot of times we find that there's nothing that we're going to do with the data, right? So for example, even as simple as watching the news, it's like, okay, so you watch the news or you read the news and you learn something, and how does this actually affect your behaviors? Nothing. Like there's no end result. So there's no purpose to consume that data, right? But the same thing in the metrics in the business, when you look at, for example, how many subscribers did you gain on YouTube? Doesn't matter, because that doesn't affect your, I mean, in a month, maybe it would, then you could see the effectiveness of a specific video. But if you don't have a specific reason for consuming data, then consuming that data is actually detrimental rather than helpful.
So my thought is mostly that there's no substitute for hard work. And, a lot of the work that I put in December, it paid off, and, I started getting some traction on the sponsorship stuff. I think a lot of the stuff we talked about today is also going to, pay off on a lot of this stuff, but you still have to do the work, right? You still have to go, and, we're talking about it, and, I may wind up paying somebody to gut out a whole bunch of work, right? So they put in 30 hours, and give me a list, like Manny said, of like 300, 400 people, right, that I can reach out to for sponsorship. But yeah, the work has to get done, as much as we talk about planning and setting goals and things like that. None of it means anything unless you're going to do the work.
Right.
To John's point, the numbers don't mean anything unless you're going to change how you're working or what you're doing.
Exactly.
So yeah, have a plan. I like the idea of a mastermind where you get to talk about the stuff. People go, you got to consider this, right? Like we did today. And then, get in there and just do it. I mean, my plan, honestly, is by this time next week, I'm going to get on and you guys are going to be like, so how's it going? And I'm going to be like, well, I've got this giant pile of emails that I sent out, and here's how it's gone so far.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Optimize the hell out of it for a whole quarter, and you have a legit business.
Yep. Because I like it. Anyway,
All right. Cool.
I got to go talk to a sponsor, so I'm going to jump.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
All right, guys,
See you next week. Yeah.
Bye-bye.